What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It would appear that Gypsy Rose Blanchard has been trying to rewrite history once again, but unfortunately for her, she was literally caught red-handed. Gypsy apparently thought it would be a good idea to go onto her own Wikipedia page and add herself as an editor and begin changing all of the information on her Wikipedia page, which is supposed to be, an unbiased viewpoint of information or, events that have happened, whatever the case may be. But, it's funny because I've always heard that Wikipedia is not entirely reliable, and I guess this is probably why. Because if Gypsy Rose Blanchard can go onto her own Gypsy Rose Blanchard Wikipedia page and put in whatever she wants, that doesn't really seem like we're getting the most, correct info. So we're gonna get into what Gypsy's been doing recently to rewrite history, and I also want to take a little bit of time and look back at the crime scene photos. And before you roll your eyes or, assume that you've seen all of them, I'm sure you have, but there were a couple of things that I noticed when I was going through them the other day that I feel like now that we have so much information about Gypsy and she's done so many documentaries and interviews and things like that, even her book, there are a ton of things that I feel like a lot of people have missed, and a couple of other things that I kind of want to just run past you guys and see what you think about it. You know how I like to do here on my channel, bounce ideas off different theories or possibilities when it comes to this criminal case with Gypsy Rose and even the involvement with Nicholas Godejohn and things like that. So before we get into all of it though, make sure you like and hit the subscribe button so you can keep up to date with everything I've got coming out on my channel. I also want to take a moment to give a couple shout outs for gifting me with a super thanks on my recent videos to Mellow Yellow 2022 and Lady Justice 6833. Thank you guys for doing that. I appreciate you and all of you guys that support me and my channel by subscribing, sharing, or even hyping my videos. It all helps and I appreciate every bit of it. But let's go ahead and get into today's video on Gypsy Rose Blanchard rewriting history again. So looking at what Gypsy has been up to recently, and by recently I mean October 26th, she decided to go onto her own Wikipedia page, and I guess there was just too many things that needed correcting according to Gypsy, so she decided to log on as an editor and make the changes herself. So clearly on Wikipedia you're able to see who makes what edits, when it happens, all of that information. And lo and behold, Gypsy Rose Blanchard herself is in there. So as you can see here, it says it's showing all of the edits that happened. And right here, you can see October 26, 2025, reverted edits by Gypsy Rose Blanchard 727. And then we have another one. So she was just like on here, like edit, 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 delete, 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 delete. But they were eventually reverted and removed because she's not really allowed to be putting her own information on there, especially when it's like not confirmed information and it's kind of a lot of speculation and things like that. But we can click here and see that it is 100% Gypsy, and we can see all of the contributions that this account made. So she changed from what is known from murder. Gypsy doesn't want to be known as a murderer. We all know that, and she's said that a million times, but even her own Wikipedia page can't say it, so she changed that she's a murderer to a victim/survivor of Munchausen by proxy. Gypsy also updated a paragraph to reflect current events while explaining past events, and she also changed some dates. And it says, this user is currently blocked. The latest active block log entry is provided below for reference. This person blocked Gypsy with an expiration timeline of indefinite. Username represents a well-known person. Let's see. So if we click on talk here and it says somebody messaged Gypsy, or I guess wrote to her, and they're basically saying that they noticed that she had added or changed information in the article but didn't provide any reliable source on Wikipedia. It's important that an article's content can be verifiable. If you'd like to resubmit your change with a citation, your edit is archived in the page history. So Gypsy responded, I am Gypsy Rose Blanchard, whom this article is about. A source would be my memoir, My Time to Stand, published by Ben Bella Books. How do I apply a source? Hello, you'll want to send an email to info@wikimedia to find out how to provide proof of your identity. This is a precaution to make sure that no one is able to pretend to be you on Wikipedia. It shouldn't take long while you're waiting for a reply. Please check here to find out more on how to add references. That's fine, I'll send an email. Since you are the person this article is about, you should refrain from editing the page directly. Please see Wikipedia pages. Instead, please post requests to the talk page with the edit template. I don't even know how or why she decided to get into this, but apparently what it was saying was just too much for her, that she couldn't just leave it alone. And I mean, I've always heard that Wikipedia is not the most accurate source for information, and like, I guess that really just proves the point. So here you can see all of the changes that she tried to make right here, where she tried to put that she was known for or charged murder of Dee Dee Blanchard. Instead, she wanted to put Munchausen by proxy victim survivor, spouse unset. She removed that she was married to Ryan Anderson. She removed all of this. Gypsy Rose Blanchard is an American woman who conspired with her then boyfriend for more than a year to kill her mother, Claudine Dee Dee Blanchard, at the house where she lived with her mother in Springfield, Missouri. She was initially charged with first-degree murder, but later pled guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. After Dee Dee's death, allegations surfaced that she misrepresented Gypsy's health, which drew national attention to the case. Allegations that Dee Dee Blanchard subjected her daughter to medical abuse have been widely reported in later interviews and dramatizations. However, these claims originate from Gypsy Rose Blanchard's own accounts and subsequent media portrayals and have not been substantiated by any medical or legal finding. She's like, delete. So here's the change that she put in there. The case drew national and international attention. Did it say international attention? That's funny. She changed from national attention to international and national because she's so famous. The case drew national and international attention due to allegations that Dee Dee Blanchard had subjected her daughter to prolonged medical child abuse, consistent with Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Reports, medical records, and later investigations indicated that Gypsy was led to believe she suffered from multiple severe illnesses and disabilities, resulting in unnecessary surgeries, medication, and years of social and physical restrictions. In June 2015, Blanchard and her then-boyfriend Nicholas Godejohn were involved in the stabbing death of Dee Dee Blanchard at the family home in Springfield, Missouri. Gypsy Blanchard was arrested and charged in connection with the crime. She removed all of these sources, State versus Gypsy, like all official sources. Instead, she's gonna just go by herself and her book that she literally said is wrong. Like, the audacity of this girl to literally tell everybody that her book has a ton of mistakes in it, to the point where she's gonna have to reprint it out, and yet she's gonna be putting that as a source. It's honestly funny. Like, you cannot make this stuff up. This girl is like, who does that? Who literally goes and edits their own Wikipedia page and just puts whatever they want? Like, that's so funny to me. But not surprising. Am I right? So, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I was going through and looking at the crime scene photos and I was going through them like for a different video that I'm making. And there were a couple of things that caught my eye, so I decided I wanted to just like go ahead and go through some of these things that I noticed. And, it just kind of fit perfectly that we caught Gypsy going onto her own Wikipedia and trying to change the narrative because that's something she has always done. It's not surprising whatsoever. She's always done this. And I'm going to show you a few examples, and then I also want to just show you a couple of other like weird little things that I found in those crime scene photos that maybe have been missed or not paid attention to as much, and then also some other things that I feel like really challenge the narrative that Gypsy has always put forward about her hiding in the bathroom and all of the whole story that she gives, whatever, about how Nicholas did everything and that she just hid away. We've all heard it a million times in a million different variations, but let's just go through some of these crime scene photos and let's just get into it a little bit. So it's funny because we've all heard this story about Gypsy talking about how her mother was mean to her and all of the crazy off the wall stuff that Dee Dee would say to Gypsy, one of which that she even included in her book that we all know is apparently very inaccurate. She said that her mother would tell her that I have like 6 voices inside of my head and 5 of them don't like you whenever Gypsy would do something to make her mother mad. And what are the odds that on the filing cabinet in Dee Dee's bedroom, right below the safe, is a little magnet or a little pin that says, "The voices in my head don't like you." So Gypsy uses this. Apparently, this is where she got it. I mean, I don't know where else she could have gotten it from. As a way to say, like, my mother did this to me. These are all the kind of, emotional, abusive type of tactics that she would use. All of these horrible things she would say to me, that she's got multiple voices in her head and none of them like me. And, she said it more than once. This isn't something that she just said like one time. She brought this up multiple times. And then for me to sit there and see that it's literally a magnet on the side of their filing cabinet, that's exactly what Gypsy does. She just pulls random things, whether they happened or not. Something as innocent as a little magnet on a filing cabinet, she's gonna use it and twist it to be like, oh, see what my mother said to me? This is how my mother abused me, when it's quite literally just something as playful as a little pin that has nothing to do with who she actually is. But she makes it into this huge ordeal to make her look like the victim. When I saw that, I honestly was just like, wow, it all makes sense now. Because I know a lot of people commented on that, especially in the book or whatever, to your child, but it's kind of funny. Probably because it's like, I don't know, a meme or something. I don't know what you would even consider this, but it's like along the same lines as like an internet saying or whatever. Quite literally hanging on the filing cabinet. Something else that I find pretty bizarre is looking at Dee Dee and Gypsy's room. Painted a very specific red color. I mean, we all know this. We've all seen these photos a million times before. But if you go back and look at the Lifetime series, whenever Gypsy is laying in bed next to her baby, you can see that Gypsy opted to choose a red color for her baby's nightlight. I mean, most people, especially with babies, red is not a color. Anybody that would ever choose red for their nightlight color, and this takes up the entire room. So she's literally laying in a red room with her baby, almost in the exact same spot that she slept in when she was in her mother's bedroom, but now she's doing it with her baby, which is kind of interesting. You would think with the trauma and the issues that she has with her mother that she wouldn't want to do this, that this would be like a trigger or something for her. But no, she almost finds comfort in it, I imagine, because why else would she do that? I feel like, especially in a stressful situation when you're waking up throughout the night with a baby, why would you choose something that would be so traumatic. Like, this is the room, the same exact room where you were allegedly tortured, tied to the bed. You murdered your mother in this room, and yet you are essentially recreating it with your baby. I just find that to be bizarre. She's keeping so many mementos and doing so many things, and there are so many similarities, and it doesn't even matter what house she's at. Like, if we look at Ryan Anderson's house, he has drawings on his fridge that Gypsy had done for him, similar to what Gypsy had at her old house that her mother hung up, because Gypsy drew those little notes and things like that. And then also, even looking at Nicholas Godejohn's room, something I noticed is that he has a dream catcher in his room. And then when you go and look at Ken Urker's house, funny enough, there is a dream catcher in Ken Urker's room. And also could be very intentional and by Gypsy doing these things that she either finds comfort in, or it reminds her of her home life growing up. I don't know. I feel like it's pretty interesting. All of these things are somehow tied to her past, not even counting all of the things that she deliberately kept from her home, and the little photo collages and the names and things like that. All these decorations throughout the house that she has currently. It's so similar to this old house in Missouri that she lived in with her quote-unquote abuser, Dee Dee. Her Cinderella glass slipper that I'm pretty sure she still has somewhere in her house, which is pretty weird, honestly. You would think that she wouldn't want anything from this house as like a reminder of what happened to her, but no, Gypsy still loves the same stuff. And Gypsy said also that whenever she was getting ready to leave and run away with Nicholas, that she went throughout the house and tried to take down every photo of her. That way, whenever the police or whoever arrived, they would just maybe assume that Dee Dee was a single woman and that they would somehow magically forget about Gypsy. But if you look through the crime scene photos, there's like a million photos of Gypsy all throughout that house, and it really doesn't look like she took anything down, like whatsoever. I mean, you've got one here. We've even got a picture of her Facebook post that she made where she took a picture of her mom and her hand over, one over the other, that she posted onto her Facebook page that she apparently wasn't allowed to have, that Dee Dee didn't know about. The same image right here under the Christmas tree, Dee Dee and Gypsy's hands. Here we have two more pictures of Gypsy, both of them, or this one where she's with Santa Claus, and then another one where she's right by her mother, and then another one in the bedroom where it's Dee Dee and Gypsy at Disney World. And then we've got her in this white little dress where she's wearing the big red wig. This photo was also posted on Facebook. It appears that she moved something from here, so I can't help but wonder what maybe was in this spot. But if she's removing all the photos, I don't know why she wouldn't just remove all of them and she only picked specific ones. I wonder if those ones were like of Gypsy standing up or something, or walking around. And in this photo, you can see where Gypsy got a autographed football signed, and also a baseball where it's probably the Cardinals game or whatever game that she went to, where she was like an honorary attendee, and they made a big giant deal about Gypsy. Of course they do that a lot of the times for sick kids, given the fact that Gypsy was a not so sick adult. But here it is, just sitting there like a little trinket, a little prize that she gets. And she didn't know that she was a part of any con, right? Like she told Dr. Phil. I believe this is another one of Gypsy's paintings, or at least it looks like it is. It looks like it's her signature on there. And I can't help but wonder if she painted herself going to heaven. I mean, she's probably, that self-centered that she would paint a portrait of her making it to heaven. And I think it's honestly sad, the amount of things, like especially like Christian related things within this house. Like even looking at Gypsy's bed, it's so unsettling, like reading her little phrase that she has on the end of her bed. Four corners around my bed, four angels around my head. One to watch, two to pray, and one to scare bad things away. Unfortunately, nothing scared Gypsy away, and she killed her mother quite literally in front of Jesus. Like, that's what's even worse is in Dee Dee's room, right by the bed, is a portrait of Jesus hanging in the room. And she literally could not have cared less. I mean, I feel like that would make me feel like even worse. I'm surprised she didn't like remove those photos down out of the way, because I feel like that would make it very, very difficult to like commit, especially a murder of your own mother in front of Jesus. Even the money that Gypsy stole from the money that Dee Dee had set aside for her and Gypsy, that money, like, I don't know if she even noticed it on this $2 bill or not, but imagine her, after this murder, going through this money that she had stolen from her mother, and it quite literally says, "Mommy loves you" on the $2 bill. I don't know how she wouldn't have went crazy, because I feel like, there are so many like bizarre things happening, and imagine going to pull some money out of your wallet to pay for something and then killed your own mother and that dollar says "Mommy loves you." It's like, that would be so disturbing to me, and it was disturbing to me when I was looking through these photos.
Actual kill, not me. I can't kill anyone. That's why he's in trouble to begin with, because he's the one that did it. So when they say I'm a murderer, I don't identify as that.
Is prison one of the first birthdays you had that you knew your age going into it?
It was. So, once I was told my real age, then I was able to start celebrating and getting older.
It was a scam until about a year after I found my Medicaid card with my correct birth date listed. When Mama became more physical and violent with me after I re-questioned her about it, pushing back against her storytelling. The discovery of my real birth date was not my aha moment per se, but it did act as a warning siren to be more alert. Dear Mother, I know I could walk. I don't think I have cancer. I don't feel sick. I know that I'm really 19. I want to live my own life. I'm glad that I'm out of that situation, but I am not happy she's dead. At the time, I knew that I was being abused, but I didn't know exactly what kind of abuse it was. I just knew that I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things, and my mother was the reason. So when they say I'm a murderer, I don't identify as that.
I know we all know the story. We've heard what's been said or what we've been told, either by Nicholas or the many different versions that we've heard from Gypsy Rose herself. But as I was going through these photos and, just looking at little things that I was noticing, because especially when it comes to the crime scene, like the blood down the halls in certain areas, it's not really adding up to me with what we've been told, either by Nicholas or by Gypsy. Maybe the location of the blood splatters or, the way that they look, the drops, all of it. I want to dive a little bit deeper into that and kind of see what y'all think about it, because I think there's something that they may have missed that could be really important, or at least contradicts Gypsy and Nicholas's version of events that night, because we all know that Nicholas Godejohn said that there are some details that we don't know that he would never tell as a way to protect a Gypsy, because he still feels the need to do that for whatever reason.
Everyone except for Dan. Dan's the only one I would not apologize to. Apparently she decided to just go with it. Screw it. Me and I actually held together until, I was in the second night. I said screw it, that's the truth and true. It really was. Screw it right now. It kept me in handcuffs all that time, and now I'm finally getting my blood back. The thing is if I tell the truth, like I just did, yeah, it flippin' sucks just having to say it. I really just want best possible outcome to this as possible. I wonder what it is. I want to know what it is.
But, knowing Gypsy Rose Blanchard and how she behaves, it's absolutely not surprising that she still continues to try to rewrite history and push her own narrative to this day. It does not matter what she has to do, she's gonna get her own version of events out there, even going as far as editing her own Wikipedia page. That's pretty crazy to me. I don't know if I've ever really heard of anybody else trying to do that, but I guess Gypsy always likes to be the first of everything. According to her, Gypsy is also the only person to murder their Munchausen by proxy abuser. If Gypsy does anything, it's always gonna benefit her. It does not matter if it's the truth or if it's what really happened. All that matters is that Gypsy ends up being the victim in the end because people feel sorry for the victim. In her story, Dee Dee's not a victim. Nicholas Godejohn is not a victim. The only person that is a victim in Gypsy's eyes is herself. But I want to know your thoughts on it. What do you think about Gypsy editing her own Wikipedia page and getting caught? What do you think about some of these crime scene photos and what we discussed in the video? What do you think about Dee Dee's little pin that she had on the filing cabinet where it's talking about the voices in her head? How Gypsy claimed that's how her mother would, talk down to her, saying all the voices in her head didn't like her. All of it. Drop your thoughts down below in the comments. As always, don't forget to like, share, and hit the subscribe button to support me and my channel. Also, feel free to hype this video. I appreciate all of you guys for your support and helping me and my channel out. I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.